Oh, are you ashamed of your weed smoking history?
No.
No?
No.
You sure?
No.
Sounds like you're a
Yeah.
little ashamed of your weed smoking
I'll
past.
talk about. I don't care.
Smoking pot, make your
I'm
brain
talking
rot.
about doing shroomies on podcasts. Doesn't even matter.
Okay. Let's call it episode 2. 1, 2, 3, and we're live.
What's up? Thanks, everyone, for joining in to podcast episode 2, Flow Bros. Special guest here today, John.
Yo, what's up? What's good? It's Ponsky here. It's my
Wait,
Twitch handle. I stream on. Yeah.
What's your stream there, bud?
What's your stream there, bud?
Yeah, tell us about, tell the people, man. Tell the people about yourself.
Well, who are you? Who's this talking on the mic?
Oh man,
right
I'm
now?
Billy, man. It's episode 3.
It's episode
It's episode 2, man.
It's episode 2, dude.
Oh, it's
It's episode 2.
it's recording 3, but it's episode 2.
I do a variety of video games, like FPS is my main type of game. So I've been playing a lot of PUBG and Hunt Showdown, but I've been mixing up casual games like Steep and which is snowboarding, like skiing, mix of all the winter sports, like also what's it called? Hang gliding, air gliding. What's the one?
Paragliding?
No.
Wait, is it like a paragliding
what?
Oh,
simulator?
like fucking like
That's
the
a
flying
multiple.
fucking
Wingman suit.
Suits.
Yeah, wingman suit. You can do
Dude.
wingman suit and rocket suits and shit.
Like simulation?
Yeah, with your
Uh,
VR?
No, not with VR, but
Oh.
I would do want to play a VR game like that.
Oh,
'Cause
that'd be
I've been
sick.
playing VR games as well. And the new Half-Life's coming out. Half-Life Alex.
Oh yeah. When does that come out?
23rd of March.
23rd of
Fucking
March.
looks crazy. Have you seen trailers for that shit, Bren?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah?
It's next gen.
It's pretty nuts looking, man.
Did you see the gameplay trailer? I mean, the gameplay videos?
Dude, so much of it's interactive.
Yeah.
It looks
All
pretty
of it.
amazing, man.
That's and then I don't know how they're gonna set up I feel like that game's gonna allow you to be so creative
Oh, yeah.
in
for
how
sure.
you play through it.
Yeah, 'cause you're solving puzzles in VR, so it's like you're using your hand to reach around a window to get a pipe out of the
Yeah.
door to unlock it. Cause
It-
it's
Oh, yeah.
It feels natural, I think.
It looks like it feels natural.
It's gonna get to that point where you won't even second guess yourself if you can think you can do that or if that's something that's interactable, because it probably is. I think
Mm.
there's
Mhm.
gonna be such a depth to.
instead of going
Dude,
through
now
the-
that they got this
yeah.
game out, though, man, think about in 5 years, because they're gonna keep collecting data on all these games and get better and better, and it's like
Well, game
Yeah.
designers will see
after
hotspots,
people
right?
start after a lot of people play games like this where they're actually doing all these more complicated things, dude. In a few years, this shit's gonna get so nuts. It's gonna be it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, we essentially went from going up to a door and pressing B or A up or down or something to having to actually interact with our body, doing a simulation of that movement, the real life movement.
It's truly VR. It's
Yeah.
full on. It's not
Mm-hmm.
there's no abstraction between you as a character and the controls anymore. You are the control. You're gonna behave just as you would,
Mm-hmm.
as much as you can in real life in that video game.
Yeah.
You know what's going to be interesting, going forward into the future, as this VR technology develops and gets more intricate, there's already VR simulations that professionals use for training, flight and other things. So once this develops even further, it's going to be really interesting to have VR simulation training for almost everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could potentially get trained up as this, that.
And the VR world is so new. There's so much to codify still. So,
Well,
many,
Dude, you can codify the world.
so many things to make still. In
I think
VR.
what's gonna happen is that people are gonna make
Yeah.
their own digital feudal states where they codify their own envisioning of how they think things should be for whatever scenario it is.
Oh yeah.
And more people will. Over
People can
time-
choose their own simulation.
Yeah, I think a lot of humanity's experience coming on from now on into the future, because it's the trend. There can be more and more digital, right? And there's gonna be some people who step all the way through the door into that VR world, and they're gonna spend more of their waking lives in VR than in not VR. and it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of subcultures develop from that, and like what kind of economics develop from
There was
that. Like,
actually a movie not too long ago that was actually like kind of based on that of what we just mentioned.
Yeah.
I forget. Gamer, was that the name? I can't remember the name of that movie. But it's pretty much like something like what you pretty much just stated, where a vast majority of the world is plugged into this virtual world, and like that's where a lot of the world's economics are done through this virtual.
Yeah.
So whatever happens in this virtual is reflected in the physical. You know what I mean? If you make like a huge trade in the virtual world, you see real currency in the real world
yeah.
that you use to, better.
I think
improve.
I think you are talking about the right movie. I think
Yeah, it was called-
sounds similar.
Yeah,
Familiar
yeah.
Gamer or something.
Something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
do you guys know the book Neuromancer?
No, what is that?
No.
It's a sci-fi book from the 90s. It deals a lot with like the intersection of where technology has pushed us so far forward that like so much of our lives are digital in a sense. Like people operate sometimes exclusively in a digital domain, digital capacity, and like you can neutralize other people in the physical world through digital means because like we have developed neural interfaces and they like are susceptible to viruses in a digital sense, just like our computers are today.
Yeah.
So a lot of the story is hinged around like those kind of elements, right? And it's interesting because that was written in the 90s, but still it feels really fresh today. And if anything, it feels almost kind of prophetic in terms of like some of the things it doesn't like.
Dude,
totally-
90s is not even that old, man.
It's true, but
90s is like,
it's 30 years ago now that you think about
yeah,
it.
but like, so wait, what is this about again?
I'm just talking about the sci-fi book, but
You got like the prophetic nature of what it was saying in that book. It's kind of.
well, it's not prophetic. It's just that like the author makes some estimations and then makes
Yeah.
opinions on those estimations, and then
So you ready to get a neural link chip in your brain, Bren?
Would you guys do Neuralink?
Nah.
Would you do it Neuralink?
I would want to do like my own Neuralink, like something that I know
Yeah, if I
what
knew
is the
the-
hardware, like, and what the software is, like if it was open source, if it was like
And the environment, like how, like,
yeah,
security.
how that came
Okay,
like
so,
Neuralink specifically from
Let's say
Elon
it's
Musk.
secure.
I'm not sure.
Would you go up to the doctor's office and get the needle?
Oh, I would totally do
work?
it. Like if it was like under my own terms, like how things are set up. Like
yeah, your privacy and stuff.
yeah, that kind of stuff. But I don't think I would be. I'm not sure if I would want to be the pioneer of it in terms of like being a user of it. Like I might wait for Gen 2, right? Just
Yeah.
because I want to see if it like
Bugs out. They
Yeah.
gotta fix the
you know,
kinks.
make someone's like a
Yeah.
catatonic vegetable.
Yeah.
I don't want that shit.
You don't want to be
Fuck
that guy.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
True.
I don't know. I don't think I'll plug in, man.
No.
Nah, I think we're already so plugged in that the further we plug in more, we give up so much, like in terms of privacy and data already. And
That's
you-
true with
and, like,
tracking and how much
Yeah.
they already
the more
track.
the
Yeah.
more deeper you go into this shit, the more you're gonna have to give up, and you're not really necessarily paying out of your wallet. Like, you're
Yo,
just-
can I tie 2 points here?
Yeah.
That coupled with VR, if certain game companies, they're essentially recording, if they wanted to, your entire behavior.
Oh, yeah,
how
for
your
sure.
judgment.
Yeah.
We're just literally
how you think,
how you are.
how your
Yeah.
thought patterns emerge.
Yeah,
and,
they
like,
don't get inside your brain, but they're going to see all your movements, and it's interesting to see like eventually as they collect that data, if they
Mhm.
choose to collect that data on you
Oh, they
over
will,
time,
they will.
like it's like they own a version of you. Because
Oh,
like
yeah.
how much of that can they take to simulate who you are in the future?
Not only that, like data mining,
yeah.
like companies can sell this to other companies that can utilize that data for a profit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, these particular behaviors can indicate.
What kind of profit do you think you can generate? Like, what value you think
Oh,
is
dude,
inherent to
that's
that?
their biggest.
point,
That's like their
yeah.
biggest money
That's,
maker.
a
Yeah.
fun question to think about.
Yeah.
To percolate on.
I think
Dude, yeah,
it's
their biggest
huge
money.
because like all these other platforms like Facebook, YouTube, like they're a lot of the money they're making is on data mining, right?
Yeah.
And like so, to answer that.
That's the whole
No,
business
but I mean,
model.
like specifically, if we were thinking about like,
Like
I had a
iPhone
data set
numbers?
of like,
You can make like bots of a version of yourself, like when it collects data about your movements in the game, like and translate it into code. You can like program that code into like
Simulation?
into like other bots in the game. Like it's the same game of
Yeah.
CS. Like one bot can be a version
Oh,
of you,
yeah.
one bot's a version of you, and then they just like fight, and then
Isn't there
see
something
who's, like-
similar like that AI that learned how to play Dota and it was
Yeah,
just like super
and it
competitive
crushed, yeah.
and it crushed, yeah.
But yo, to add on to that, what I'm thinking is that like imagine if
you
you
combine.
got your grandmother to
oh.
go inside VR for a bit, and they collected some data of her over time.
Yeah.
You know, like her mannerisms, how she woke up, like they like gave her like let's say a bodysuit that had like just touch points everywhere, right? And like she lived in like this home that like had all of these sensors that can pick up every like spatial point of her body and all that kind of stuff, and like her voice and her, you know, she gives testimonials, she like feeds all this data, and then they create a recreation of her in VR that when she passes on,
You can still visit
you
grandma.
can visit grandmother, because like, and then like grandma went through like 4 months of this, so like they collected a wealth of
peop-
data, and they,
peop-
Oh, something to tie into this. I was
People
on
are
YouTube.
kind
oh,
of
sorry.
doing that already. Sorry,
No, it's fine.
I just thought of a story like of a person who's like already doing that, like visited their son in VR, kind of like
But is it?
in a
Like,
3D,
he made a-
3D version of it. Yeah.
But it's not real. But I mean, if it satisfies you.
Well, no, if it's like something you need to
Helps to
do,
ease the
or like I
pain,
don't know
yeah.
Well,
why,
okay,
but like it's just
then
cool that you can do
to
it. I
to
guess.
ask Billy 2 lines of questions.
Yeah.
Imagine if, what if we get to the point where we can develop artificial intelligence that passes the Turing test. The Turing test being like, can it pass for
Oh,
human or
actually,
not, right? In an interaction.
No.
Okay, well let's pause it if you could, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think chatbots are getting really quick to there where.
I'm not saying it can't get good enough to where it's convincingly real.
Well, okay, let's go
But it's
with
still not
convincingly
real.
real.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well,
That's a different
that's a great
argument.
like metaphysical discussion, but let's say they're convincingly real,
Yeah.
and you create this personality, right? That is so much in every single way, nearly 1-to-1 in terms of how experiential wise another human being would interact with it.
Mhm.
That when that person, let's say, passes on, or like this new artificial being, what's to say the social kind of the social
benef-
needs, the social fulfillment that you get from this entity,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
It could still be beneficial.
like
honestly.
would it not like where does it the line is blurred between like does a human need to be in this physical realm anymore, right? Like they can always.
So
No,
kind of
no,
like
they don't need to
uploading
be,
your
that's why we
consciousness
die.
onto.
My train of thought kind of jumbled there, but
Excuse me.
I don't remember the original question I was going to ask anymore.
Yeah, like saying like, what if the social benefits aren't lost when you translate it to a VR world, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah,
just
that-
still
yeah, yeah,
gain
yeah.
some
Yeah.
benefit from?
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely. I agree.
Like
I would agree
a
with that.
VR grandmother is literally no different from
But I think
real life grandmother. You're just experiencing her in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's legit. I think that shit's legit. But my only thing is like, the user should know, or the person receiving it.
Yeah.
Well, they go into it knowingly. Like,
Yeah.
Like like you know,
That-
grandma's
that-
already dead, but this is kind of like therapy.
That's a high emotional fraud thing to do to someone, right? Like
Well,
to,
like I was gonna
trick
mention
them.
earlier, there was this
Yeah.
I saw on YouTube, like this Korean.
I feel like it's
mother.
just a slippery slope.
To what?
I don't know.
Just think about like attachment.
like addiction and getting stuck and.
No, it's just more like in policy making to like where like no now that like the policy would have to be cool to have like people just essentially like putting like false realities on you and like that can
That already happens with media today.
no, but I know, but this is like full like you got them like full like
Wait, so but like if it's between two private consenting like adults or like a corporation to adult, like there's full understanding. Like what's the issue then? Like what's the slippery slope? Like what do you find? Like do you find slippery slope in terms of like people shouldn't put so much weight into virtual things
I
because
just
they're
think-
virtual? Like is there like inherent a lower value?
I just
to
think
it?
so. No, I just think
like-
I just think like when you put yourself into like a virtual reality, you're putting yourself into someone's other like another reality, right? But it's so like immersive and real, and like it's just like video games and like all this stuff is already effective on us, like our brains and all that shit. Like you get into it, it's like it affects us, right?
Well.
Oh, so are you
yeah.
worried
Like,
about us
for
for
like,
positive
consequences
for
of, like,
positive
too much
and negative,
VR,
like
right, getting
Yeah.
pulled
There's
into
positives
that
and
world
negatives.
instead of actual
But, like,
reality?
Yeah, and then like
But
losing-
like there's like healthy,
Yeah.
there's healthy use of things, and then there's like.
I'm just saying when you go into someone
abusing.
else's world, they can manipulate that world in any way you want. So you're more
Oh, okay.
subjected to manipulation.
To their world,
and this is
yeah.
a higher degree of like immersion. So it's like
That's
you're
true,
more
yeah.
higher subjected.
It's just it depends who you are.
So I'm just saying
right?
when you start tying it, I'm not even saying it for like fact, but I'm just saying like if you start having like medical checkups or like when you start making it like a procedure and it's like standard and people are like, I don't know, I feel like there's like a little bit of a, I'm not articulating it well, but it's like there's a little bit of a wish-washy area there.
Yeah.
Kind of like
It's a wish-washy.
Little
wish-washy
wish-washy.
area.
Huh.
But I mean, you would have to like have some sort of like safeguard standard if you're gonna, like, I think VR is gonna need that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like
Especially with like, do we live in such like a essentially propaganda driven society where it's like all ads and fucking just like it's all about manipulation, and
Mhm.
I mean that's why you have
Well, yeah, the world's like driven by information, and then if you can essentially manipulate the information, you can kind of.
Well, you can
Which is really
you
easy.
can manipulate
The
reality
narrative,
is what we're
yeah.
saying.
yeah,
at
you
this
can
given
you can
case.
change people's reality, and like
Yeah.
they might not even be able, they won't even second guess it. And it's like the parallel could be right next to them, and they just miss it.
So, are you saying that you fear a rise of VR seeping into society in a way that it becomes indistinguishable between like the fabric, how much it is woven into our daily fabric that you can't tell
I think
if
it-
you were to be manipulated or not?
I think
Because, like,
essentially, if you give yourself into it too deep, you're, I don't know, you're essentially giving like, I think you're just more open up to like the grip of corruption. Like it's not to say for a fact it would get you, but I don't know. It's like I haven't thought about it deep enough,
okay,
right? So.
actually, so let me posit to you this: so it seems like, do you think VR has a greater capability to change someone, like, or to control them than doing them in
I
the
think it's-
traditional, already in reality?
Yeah. Like, is it a good tool?
No, are you saying that you're saying that like I'm not? I think we all can agree it's a good tool, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you're describing a scenario where like when someone goes into VR, all of a sudden like they're being puppet mastered, and like
Oh yeah, I'm saying that's like an attack vector that if we're gonna do VR and like make it big, and it's gonna be big, it's gonna be everywhere. You want to you want to have like a high level of accountability and
Yeah.
like
I
shit
think that
like
depends on the application. I mean, if we're talking games, then like
Yeah.
it won't as matter. But if it's talking like political things and like
Yeah.
dictating that level of
I think that
importance.
all matters into how susceptible you are to being manipulated
yeah,
as a person in the first
I don't know if
place.
it's so much the cause of the medium itself.
No, yeah.
Like I think the only way that I think Billy's point of view I think justifiable is if it's through Neuralink.
Well,
If it's through like VR headset, how John's doing right now, I think that's no different from
it's it's all
like,
speculation.
watching
Yeah,
TV or
VR
like-
is just like a screen in front closer to your
Yeah.
eyes.
and you
then,
choose to.
But it's all
buy
speculation,
into
man.
that
It's really
reality.
early. In like 10, 15 years,
No, it's
The-
like full on right now, dude. VR is.
I know,
like,
but in 10 or
blowing up.
15 years, it's gonna be way more full on.
Wouldn't-
Yeah,
well,
but
no,
if-
but
if-
like,
It's like baby
I'm
right now.
thinking,
It's like
if you
cryptocurrency.
combine maybe like with Neuralink with VR,
Dude, they're just figuring out how to do
And-
complicated movements, man. That shit's still baby. Like,
well, no, that's what I'm saying. That like Neuralink, like I
but
think.
what are you trying to say? Like they're trying to like program us to be a.
I'm not
certain way?
saying they are trying to program us. I'm saying you don't know exactly what that future looks like. And I'm just saying it could very well look like, for example, the like early internet age when it's just like, even now, it's still like the Wild West.
Yeah.
And you don't know how everything's going to fully interact. So if you're choosing what you want to interact, so say your VR experience and say by this point it's like expanded to like a lot of shit. So like say
Yeah.
your YouTube, say your everything's through VR, like all your entertainment's almost VR. And you're if it's just like the Wild West, you're open to so much, just like you're really open to shit.
You're open to being manipulated by the media.
Anything, anyone, I don't know. Depending on, I don't know what the future looks like. I'm just saying that's one example.
Are you saying that like you don't trust yourself to be able to safeguard yourself against that? Like that it'd be so powerful that like the whole society be gripped by this VR menace?
Potentially.
But like you choose what you want to do with your tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like I don't feel like unless you're already addicted to something inside the VR use of the tool that you have anything to be like worried about. Like if you can trust yourself to like know what you want to do with it, you can pick what you choose what you
What
want
to immerse
what you
yourself
want to
in.
take.
What
Yeah.
difference is being conditioned for doing something in VR versus another harmful thing in reality that you're also conditioned to do? You know, like people have poor eating habits. People make
I think
they act in their
the
own
difference
best
is
interests.
I think the difference is the experience is so much more real and full, right? So like
Yeah, so you have like a better chance of getting addicted to it because it's
So,
more,
like,
it's
it-
more like
if somebody
more
wanted
real than full than actual reality though,
But,
like
like-
with the subtle machinations of like
if somebody wanted to
marketing.
incept you, that'd be
It-
like the perfect way to incept you with some shit. I'm just saying I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen, but I'm saying that's an attack vector.
well, like you can see it that way if again, like if you're a kid in a VR world and you're like he's in an environment with some bunch of like weird adults.
Oh yeah, dude, you can totally give him a whole.
Then you could see it in that situation where you can like get kind of manipulate, like the kid
Yeah.
can get manipulated by like maybe
But
like
that'd be no different from a kid being a bunch of
no,
adults in a room.
yeah, I know.
Fortnite or
or
Well,
a regular
yeah.
video
It's
game.
Yeah.
different though.
So
You
it's already
can be in a toxic.
It already happens, like,
a
yeah.
kid usually controlled from toxic environments, but if a kid like
Oh,
happens to enter,
jumps right. It's so much more accessible to go to bad digital realms.
Yeah.
And he's
in the
in his
future.
own world
Yeah,
and no
yeah.
one knows what's going on.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
yeah,
there's,
like it's like on a private
there's
server
that,
that's only yeah.
but a kid doesn't
Oh,
normally get like like a kid wouldn't know how to set that up in like the current VR world. Like,
Well, no, but like look at Oculus, right? You know that.
depends how old the kid is,
But like the latest Oculus headset where it streams from your phone. You don't need a powerful computer for it. It uses
yeah, the
room scale.
Oculus is
Like that product is only going to improve over and over with more time, and then it's going to get to the point where like a kid can just slip on a headset. They won't need an additional phone or anything, right? Like that headset itself, I believe, will get to the point where the technology will be so refined
Yeah, you just put it
that
on.
it's going to be a dang good VR.
And thousands
Like
of
it might
kids
be
will
what
get
you
it for
experience right
Christmas.
now, but in a mobile format, like in 10 years.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so maybe the kid doesn't know how to set up all that stuff, but maybe they won't need to because the technology has progressed so far. And Billy makes a great point because I actually hadn't thought about it that way, where like malicious people could so easily quickly set up kind of like scenarios where they like entrap or like groom or like manipulate other people
Mhm.
through VR. Like, but then like you'd have to string along the mark, like the target, like
Yeah.
whoever you're trying to manipulate, far enough that they would be willing to put on the headset, because ultimately like
Oh yeah.
people would still like you have agency, right, to some degree.
Yeah.
And though I don't buy into the notion that VR can be any more realistic than reality in itself. I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
I think they're distinctly different. Like
It can be just as convincing.
it can be like you can
but
create the same social engineering.
You know you're there the whole
manipulations,
time. You don't like.
Well,
I mean-
I don't know. I like it's the same as
Again,
It's the
it
same
depends
as
on the person too.
It's the same as a regular game. Like, have you ever not got caught up in a video game where you just lost sense of time and you're just so immersed?
Yeah, and you can still
And
you
and
still
in
do
Yeah.
those,
that.
and in those states you're more susceptible. So I'm just saying, like in a VR world where it's so much more like, I'm just saying it's the same thing. It already happens. Like people already social engineer shit into programs
Yeah.
and shit like that. It already happens. I'm just saying it's gonna be like maybe 35% more effective, or just some random number percent
Oh.
effective.
I think what Billy's highlighting is like, you know, like not that VR is bad. It's just that
like
it's
kinda how
gonna
you-
have the same dangers as what we currently have with
Yeah.
you know whatever.
but with
games
like
and
a
such.
slightly increased.
But exactly, with maybe slightly increased more effectiveness because you are slightly more immersed than you know just staring at a screen. You're kind of more there.
but I feel like given that like I do agree with that,
Mhm.
but we shouldn't.
We
The
shouldn't see it
onus
as
should still
a-
be on the person.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
onus
arguing.
is on the
Yeah,
person.
100%.
to-
100%. 100%.
to take to choose to be
Critical in their thinking and
Yeah,
be
like-
conscious and aware of.
But
yes,
no, like,
people may
yeah,
be
but-
easily more fall
And that's
prey
why-
to it.
that's why
because it's
there's,
more effective.
right.
But no,
like-
but
That's why
one
there's
of the,
age
yeah,
restrictions
right.
with these things too. It's,
No,
it's
yeah.
like the Valve Index probably. I think there's like a
Yeah.
you have to be like at least 12 or something or 13.
But yo, like part of the reason why I brought this up was because we were talking about like the data collection, or whatever, and like a lot of these kind of attacks or like social engineering attacks come from data sets. So this is like the kind of data too that would be
prime
like
yeah,
used
totally,
for.
yeah.
So you're in this VR world and like producing this like really detailed,
Valuable
immense data,
Oh yeah.
and then those are used for the social engineer attacks to like.
oh for sure.
Yeah.
You see that.
So it's like I was trying to tie it in, but I was just kind of stony.
We're gonna head into physics settings.
Stony.
I mean, I also don't want to be like riddled with forced ads in a VR setting.
Oh,
No,
that's
it'd be
gonna-
subtle, man. It had to be subtle. If like people were doing it good, it's not gonna be like. It's not gonna be
VR
like
ads. Could you imagine?
I feel
Oh,
like
fucking
totally.
big ads popping up. in front
feel
of
like
you.
titties pop in your
Swiping
face.
them away. Bam, bam, bam.
gotta be
Damn
real.
porn ads.
It's a tornado. They're everywhere.
That'd be awesome.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude.
200 years from now, that's what it's gonna be like.
Uh,
We freed
you hop
ourselves,
into
but
your
then the
VR
ads came
avatar,
back.
you go into the red light district web section. It's like, what do I
would.
want today? Just like go
Oh,
to the
man.
virtual sections. Like, oh, dude.
John's just nodding his head. Yeah, he's like, yeah.
It's like I hope my wife doesn't see this. Oh, for our listeners, today's going to be a two-part special in our podcast. So we're just doing a quick little part one here, but part two, we will elaborate a little further when we're about to go into it.
So mysterious, man. You're
Yeah.
just all of a sudden you're like,
keep the suspense.
Okay. Yeah. Min is right. It is going to be a
Going
two-part
on
podcast.
adventure.
You'll find out soon enough if you keep on listening to the Flow Bros podcast.
So what are you talking about, guys?
Oh.
Well, no,
Sounds so-
let's keep the suspense. Let's move on to a different topic.
All right.
Oh,
okay.
well, I don't know. I'm curious now. What is it, Brandon?
You know what it is.
Yo, we're exercising mental fitness. That's what it is.
Also, just a little background information, or just so our listeners know a little bit more. So John here, special visit today. So he's obviously official, Flow Bros member.
Yeah, he is a Flow Bro. Just so
I'm a
everyone
flow
knows.
bro.
But he actually lives far. He lives in where is he now?
White Horse.
White Horse.
Yukon.
So, so middle of buttfuck nowhere. So
Hey, man,
top
it's me.
left. Of
top
nowhere.
it's a little, you're
Top
a little
nice
out of the way.
place.
I'm just joking around, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So special visit. Special episode. You know.
You know what I mean.
Special visit. Yeah, so how is it? What is it like there right now in terms of weather? I mean, it's March right now. Is it still like
It's like
Blizzard?
up and down. No, it's not really like blizzardy. It's just kind of goes from like -19 to
Ooh,
4
ooh,
degrees
balmy.
positive, and like jumps around during the week. But like, yeah, it gets kind of cold, but like it's no worse than like Ontario or Calgary or whatever.
okay.
Well, actually, I'd rather have a dry White Horse winter than wet like Ontario
Yeah.
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah. White Horse Dry looks pretty good. It's just like
It's like pretty chill. It doesn't
Yeah.
snow like too much. Like we'll get dumps more like towards February, and yeah.
little dumpy dumps. How's the city there? Is it like a good city center?
Yeah, it's pretty small. Like, think like
Is there any good staircases?
staircases.
Yeah, any big staircases.
Actually, yeah, they're well up to you can go to the peak of the cliffs there to look down on the city. And there's like a staircase that goes up.
Oh,
to
okay,
that. It's cool.
okay. Do a little urban boarding in White Horse one day.
Yeah, you can go boarding.
Take a shovel out and just fucking make your own little jumps and shit.
Want to explain to our listeners what urban boarding is?
Urban snowboarding?
boarding just within like the city, kind of.
Yeah, just
boarding.
snowboard in the city.
Making use of city
Just-
features to
just
make little
like-
kickers and
Not actually going to
Stairs
the
are good for like making
Yeah.
slopes and
Yeah, not actually going to the ski resort, but like grouping out your own tracks freestyle.
usually you have like a shitty board too, because you're gonna. It's like
you're gonna fuck it up.
especially because you're gonna be on a lot more concrete or like exposed metal and shit. You're just gonna be grinding up your base of your board a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much you can do.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to use your nice board for that, unless like the city
Unless you're
itself.
sponsored.
Yeah. Or like
Unless
there's a
you're
lot of
sponsored.
snow cover, but like if you're hitting a lot of like concrete features that weren't made to be taken on boards, you're gonna be scratching up.
Dude,
Right.
speaking of urban
Yeah.
boarding, me and Brandon found the sickest spot yesterday. And we're just waiting for Vancouver to
Yeah.
get about a meter of snow. and
Never happened.
Viewers, come pray with us
Oh,
for
maybe a couple
good
feet.
snow one
It-
more time
It's good for a couple
this winter
feet.
season
Yeah.
because I want to do it so bad. Dude, just finding that staircase was a revelation, man.
Yeah, it's just pretty
like-
sick.
Yeah. Dude, how much did it snow than that a couple of days that it snowed here?
It was fat.
Maybe just
yeah.
under a foot.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, the big one here?
Yeah.
I think the biggest one here was like just under a foot or about a foot.
It depends. Like I think parts
My,
of Burnaby-
my area was like just under a foot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Anapoca was like 2.
Yeah,
2
towards
feet.
like
They got
Pacific
2?
Mountain, you
Yeah.
get more.
Fuck.
Parts in US, I think they got a lot more.
Oh, bitches,
Yeah.
man.
Downtown core was pretty like it was a lot, but it was less than the other.
I thought I would have got more being in like North Burnaby. I'm like right by SFU, like Burnaby Mountain. Cheated. Yeah, but my area is pretty good for urban boarding too. It's less like that's like more city.
Yeah.
It's more like hilly, but
Well, you
So-
probably get a lot more nice little hills, right? Like-
yeah, longer runs.
Yeah.
Although that one we found was pretty long too.
Yeah, just around West George, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Urban boarding, yo. Hopefully we can do it this year.
Should we move on to our part one intermission, and then do part 2 after?
You guys feeling intermission?
Yo, yeah, let's split it up and take some cups and meditate and do this shit
All right,
again
let's.
later.
I guess it's time
it
to.
looks like you want to spit some rhymes, bro.
No, I'm just
I feel
trying
like
to
you're bobbing
split
your
my
head.
times.
Yeah.
Gotta keep on doing this shit like crabs.
You gotta keep it a rhyme.
Oh man, I'm splitting this shit like spines. My back is broken. You won't catch me choking, loking. I'm outspoken. Gotta keep on going, going. Why am I rapping? Why am I rapping?
Some.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, it sounds like we're coming to a halt here. So, just to let the viewers know, what Min meant by a special two-part episode is that at the conclusion of this current part, we're gonna ingest shrooms, but we're gonna do a microdose, and we're gonna do breathe work, and then launch into meditation, trying to sync the rise of the shrooms, the coming up with it, with the meditation, and see how that plays out.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Up next.
Holotropic breathing. So we're gonna start with holotropic breathing, and then we're gonna do. I think. Well, I'm just gonna start meditating.
Yeah.
Right after.
Just meditate, bro.
And then we'll reconvene post trip, and give you a special
Inside.
Yukon John.
If I can still be
If he's
here.
still here, yeah. Part 2 of the Flow Bros podcast. So, we out? We out.
See ya.
All right,
Geeter.
we'll be back.
We'll be back. Yo, welcome back to the Flow Bros podcast. Episode 2, part 2, post shrooms. I'm Brandon Strong. This is Minmyo and Billy Bus.
We're
yo.
back.
Round 2.
Took
let's go.
us a little bit to
As you can see, it's now nighttime behind us.
yeah, get back into this position here. But yeah,
still
we've got a
not
lot
fully
of
back.
interesting insights that we'd love to share.
It's great, yeah. I guess I'll start.
Sure.
Yeah, this is the first time. So, the intention of this trip. Ooh, yo, I'm gonna go get that. That's the laundry.
Oh,
Be right
okay.
back.
That's very timely.
It's
That's
like
very
buzzer
synchronous.
cut.
That was like synchronous. I'm still tripping, so that was like synchronicity, just like cutting it to
Synchronicity.
the fabrics of time. You know?
Yo, man. Oh, dude. But, dude, like, doing the whole breathing exercise
Mm-hmm.
prior to that, and because it was kind of like guided breathing meditation type of thing, right?
It was really going from like the physical to like the
It was just like the transition
The
was so
mind,
good.
yeah.
Exactly.
going
And
from
like,
physical to consciousness.
yeah, and like, it like prepped you. It prepped you like get you into like the perfect state for the shrooms to like transition in. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
already
yeah,
like
yeah.
primed
Yeah.
from doing the breathing and that type of meditation, and it's just like,
It's a very powerful combination, man.
yeah. No, dude, that's great.
It's
great.
if you throw some psychedelics in the mix, it gets even crazier. But you know, so through this experience, that was my biggest thing. Is like, it was the preparation. So like, I've been meditating and in preparation for this even more, but like usually pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to do a structured meditation while on shrooms, it fell apart real quick. But I still feel like the preparation up to it was good, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't lose its structure, but like, yeah, trying to meditate on
Okay.
shrooms did not work out too well.
Okay, so we were just talking about.
But it was good experience, like, just,
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't hone that focus. It was better to just give in to like the mushroom.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna take over. You
Yeah.
know, like no matter how structured you try to maintain, it's you
Yeah.
know. All right, so let's explain to our listeners here, like what we did prior to, you know, ingesting and how we transitioned
Yeah.
into, you know,
Yeah.
taking it.
Oh, you mean
Like,
you want me to
Elaborate.
oh,
You know,
sorry.
like the breathing techniques we use and all that.
Yeah,
Oh,
so like
yeah, yeah.
holotropic
Prior to-
breathing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're, I mean, well, it was
Meditation.
interesting for me because this is the first time approaching shrooms. I decided to go into it in a meditative manner that started off with holotropic breathing, like holotropic breath work, where you do like strong, circular, deep breaths, and then you hold your breath for extended periods of times, and you do the cycle for yeah.
Really, there's a lot of emphasis on like the whole like physical process of like inhaling and exhaling, with like
Yeah.
a lot on the exhale, like really getting in there and pushing out all the gas.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
because it's to do with you're trying to remove the, where is it, nitrogen primarily
I think it's nitrogen.
out of like
Your body?
out of
We're
your
three
blood.
quarters talking out
Yeah.
of our ass on this one.
Yeah,
eh?
I mean, you should Google the science behind it. I mean, this is our layman interpretation of it, but it has to do with like it's making the oxygen percentage of your current blood much higher, right?
Right, like more.
That's
yeah, okay.
that's what it's.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Essentially.
physiological part of it. That's
my
going on.
interpretation of it is you have there's a slight misinterpretation where people, this was me,
Yeah.
where I thought like you're reoxygen, like either way I think most people understand they're balancing out the equation,
Yeah.
but it's like how about that equation is getting bounced. So I used to think when you're doing these techniques that you're like oxygenating your blood. So this is good for like people, because I think a lot of people have this misconception, even though it's not even a big deal.
Yeah, or like just they
you're
would
still
think like
you're still hitting the thing no matter however you think, but yeah. So the misconception. Well, I don't even know why we're talking about the misconception. I'm still chipping on mushrooms, but the breathing. Anyways, the reason. Anyways, the point of it all is. The point of it all is that what's happening is so you always have like fully oxygenated blood. Your blood's always at baseline, and then you're trying to expel all the nitrogen, so that the ratio of oxygen to your baseline is just at more optimal, like always. That's right? That's how. I'm just tweaking on mushrooms, man.
We'd have to relook into that.
Well, anyways,
I don't
regardless
even know how I
of the
got
finer mechanics of how it
Right.
works.
I don't even know how I got there. I just started getting there.
It's okay, you're still
The
feeling
intention
it.
was that like you start off the holotropic breath work, and then you enter a
yeah.
meditative phase
That's
afterwards.
right, holotropics.
Prior to doing the whole exercise, we took the shrooms. So I did a quarter. I guess we got to give a reference point, like a quarter. Like I did a quarter dose of what would be considered a normal dose would be like.
Okay, so there's a couple reference
three-
points here. There's like they need at least 2 reference points. So
That's true.
there's-
What format?
There's like there's like the dosage point, but then there's the
Well,
person who.
okay, well, regardless, let's not get into the sticky details of that. It's just, I mean, like, and then
I don't know. I think they're good
shit,
details.
man.
That's rewarding. That's rewarding content for them.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
the
so, yeah,
that's the
yeah, okay,
experience
sure.
they need, man.
Yeah.
They need that shit.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's stay on track though. Okay.
That's the shit they need.
Okay. Just because
Well-
we're losing our frame. Right. So, whatever breathing.
Holotropic breathing into.
I don't even know what we're doing anymore.
Okay.
Oh, man, okay.
Close.
Holotropic breathing into meditative state, having already prior ingested the mushrooms, which for me would be a microdose, and then seeing if I can take the microdose and seeing what would it be like under a meditative state. And I've never really done it in that matter where I did the holotropic breathing prior to the meditative state and then with the mushrooms riding up alongside. I feel like I just said that like 20,000 times. Regardless, and I found it extremely rewarding as a way to like both do meditation but also to do shrooms as a both either recreationally or through, or like in this case I was
Therapeutic.
trying to like just
Like they all
see the
intertwine
effect
very
of it.
well.
Yeah,
They'll support. They're all like supporting actions of each other. I feel like, you know.
it's true. Yeah. You like they synergize. Like the
Yeah.
one action like
Yeah.
it perpetuates, right? Like and it worked out. I'm saying it's great.
It's a great combo. It's a great
You should do it.
combination.
If you're
You should do it.
Endorse. Just looking at all the waves on the line.
That was great, man. That was great.
Dude.
It's great because
Okay.
typically when you're doing a higher dose of shrooms, the intensity can be so much that it's a lot to bear, right? And so to do a microdose, but also to do it in such a meditative manner where you really are feeling the I guess the finer intricacies.
Yeah.
You're really being conscious of the mushroom trip itself, right?
Mhm.
And like you're not letting its inherent intensity
You-
take
you got-
over your
You're like you can still go on
observation of
the
it.
you can still go into the deep ends.
Oh,
But it's like you have like it's almost like you have
you're riding the horse and you have
full control of it.
you have
Yeah.
full control.
And
of the
it's
reins,
like having a lens that you're able to just bend on things.
That's
Yeah.
So when, man, that's so hard for me to articulate, but you did it beautifully. Man.
Because we're
Thanks.
going to the same space,
Yeah.
man. We're all just tripping,
And
man.
it was it was so
Mhm.
cool because before sometimes like and we were saying we're going to Cupland. That's like when we're doing it like it's funny that like that's a term because it references this notion of control or no control.
So let's tell them about Cupland
So
though.
Cupland is well you tell me about Cupland.
Okay.
Though. Yeah.
So Cupland came about because we ate the mushrooms in the form of cups. So
These like I think Reese Piece
so that's the
chocolate
Cupland.
cups. Yeah.
That's Cupland.
Great stuff.
And it came about because we were talking about, because we're going into this stuff like meditator, right? So meditation is all about controlling. So you're like Cupland is kind of just like delving off. But then, you know,
Well, Cupland's like you're like I'm gonna let the psilocybin
Yeah.
for rat and see where it goes.
But even though like I knew this throughout the experience, like
Yeah.
man, it's just tying in to see what you're saying.
Okay, so-
Hold on, my mind's still processing shit because
Okay.
I'm still high, man. But
To give our listeners frame of understanding, so Cupland versus like controlled frame, meditated frame. Like, so we meditated going in, so you have a controlled frame of conscious awareness, right?
Yeah, we're very in fine control of our consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, right. Just so as the shrooms take effect, you know, you're okay. So Cupland versus
and
Well, Cupland's just like you're going
thing
for the
is,
shroom ride.
but the
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
is,
You're
the thing
hopping
is,
in,
the beauty of it,
engine's revving.
the beauty
Yeah.
of doing all this together though is becoming a master. When you're a master of it, you
Yeah.
can turn like we were just saying. I didn't make the connection till like just now, but like when you master it, you can take Cupland and make it into the form of like a lens and just contort that lens.
Mhm.
So you don't even have to like, yeah.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
what we did.
it's a great epiphany that just happened just now, and I'm glad that we captured that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like for me, I found that doing that guided breathing exercise and almost like meditation prep,
Yeah.
like really primed me going in
Mm.
because I felt like the transition was a lot smoother. You know what I mean? Because as I was meditating, eyes closed, I was already in like a Zen state.
Mm.
It's like traffic's coming at you full. It's like if you like normally just did it without doing like this pre-amped like warm up, it's like you just imagine you're sitting there and you just open the floodgate and it's just full fucking.
Mhm.
But then when you like prep yourself for it, you have like
Yeah.
you know,
You can
there's less
kinda
pressure on it on the flow.
resist the
If any,
flood
like there
of
could be like no resistance. Like,
information that
Yeah.
shrooms gives you.
And I think that's what you're experiencing doing these breathing techniques. You're probably hitting states of like no resistance, right? That's why it's so joyful. And like,
Yeah. No. It's just like really, yeah. Prep
That
me,
warm
prime me.
wash at the end of like when you're releasing
yeah.
after the cycle.
Oh, dude, it's like orgasmic.
Oh.
I know you felt that, but it's true, man. It's
Yeah.
when things just release in your body, man. It's just, whew, it feels really good.
Yeah.
The whole
No, I'm just
breathing,
thinking
the whole
back on,
breathing
like, yeah,
techniques
that's
is resetting like everything in your system. So it's going from like everything from like just chemical receptors like to the chemical level. Everything's just resetting. Man.
Mhm.
That's what's happening with this breath shit.
Yeah.
That's why people trip.
Yeah, I was
That's why
feeling
people
some
trip on this
tingly-
shit.
Tingles on my
Oh, you got the
extremities.
tingles?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's when you know you're
Breathing properly.
Yeah.
well when it's taking hold. Yeah. Yeah.
You should feel some physiological. If you're doing it properly, you should feel
Yeah,
physiological
definitely.
response.
It's good.
Highly recommended for daily usage. Maybe not with the shrooms, but
Yeah. Maybe
No,
not.
I mean that. Like the fact that we're recording this like 5 hours later is indicative that like you got to set a day aside for something like
Yeah.
this, and
you couldn't use shrooms daily, anyways.
you wouldn't want
No,
to.
you wouldn't. Yeah.
That'd be-
No,
Would not be
That'd be-
recommended.
Pretty
no,
uncomfortable.
you couldn't do it. It wouldn't. It would kind of suck because it wouldn't work. Or like, but
No, like you could. Like you could, but it's just like it'd be a bit much, you know.
yeah, but it
Like-
dies. I've tried.
micro-
Could you
it dies,
microdose it,
man.
or like-
No, it's like well, I mean, maybe if you're microdosing, but if you're microdosing, then you're going a lot longer than usually. Like you're sustaining more than a day.
Well, no, I think that's what Min and I are talking about. like,
Yeah.
if you were to do shrooms every day,
Yeah.
Like, what dosage like every day?
Well, I think you would want to do a microdose. You would not want to do.
Yeah, no, you cannot.
You've
do,
been you've been in Shroomland for like.
So
Yeah.
for
you might as well just
for
become a shroom.
perspective,
Yeah, you lose frame for sure.
Yeah.
so for
going-
perspective, we're talking about like this is a lot about intent, too.
Yeah. True,
So it's
true.
like it's how you're using the shrooms, right? Because this dynamic switches really quickly. So it's like,
Mhm.
shit, I'm losing my train of thought. But like if you're microdosing, so there's the microdose level where you can use it daily. But as soon as you cross microdose territory into like the other usage case,
deep
like
dive.
other use cases of mushrooms, it dramatically that you can't use it daily. Like the more and the deeper you go, like your like room for play just like gets smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're totally right. Like, it's about the intention of what you're doing with shrooms, right?
Yeah.
I guess like, I would never want to use shrooms for I guess.
That's tripping me out because
For a creative outlet, like if I guess what I'm trying to say, like I have nothing that I do professionally at work. I feel like I would want to do while on shrooms.
But
Yeah, I
but
well,
once
I mean,
you're
like,
on them, that
in that environment, like
yeah, but once you're on them, I find your perspective switch real quick.
Oh, for sure.
that's true. Yeah, I mean,
At least for a brief moment, whether that's good or bad. But sometimes I feel like I want to take this room experience to the physical. You know, I want to like express it more physically. Like
Yeah.
we're always like meditating, and that's beautiful too. But like take it out and to like do something more physical with the experience. I don't know how I just got on
No,
that
I think I
tangent.
know what you mean. I know what you're trying to say. It's kind of like you gain such profound insights and, like creative inspirations and ideas from the experience, right? And to be able to physically manifest that into the physical in some sort of like, physical art display as an expression of what you saw and gained from the shroom trip. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not just
Yo.
from art displays, but other, like, I don't know, other avenues of expression.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting clip. I think this last few minutes is gonna be good.
Definitely. What are we looking up here, Brandon?
well, I was checking out the Reddit World News.
Anything interesting?
Well, it's just interesting. I'm looking at this one. It's saying Prince Andrew hires Britain's top extradition lawyer as the FBI starts looking into his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. But the interesting part, the reason why this caught my eyes is because the headline itself, at least it was submitted to Reddit, doesn't actually use Epstein like his name. It just says links to an American financier and convicted sex offender who committed suicide in jail last year. Like they chose
The most roundabout.
they chose like 8 words to say Jeffrey Epstein.
Yo, have you
Epstein.
heard Eric Weinstein's? It's funny, they're all Eins.
Yeah.
But yo, have you heard Eric Weinstein? Like he's been talking about him. Have you heard his perspective on?
No.
Yeah. What's
tell
his
me.
perspective?
Oh, it's pretty good one. Like he kind of like he just breaks it down. Like he's taking like more of a I guess analysis approach. But he's basically broken it down to where this guy is just like a construct. He's just like a made up thing, and it's just like and you can just throw him at so many things, and he's just like a very applicable to like a lot of things. He's good like story piece. Like if you're trying to like.
So like for like media, like is that what you're saying? Like story piece for.
I don't know if he's okay. So the
cultural
the story piece is kind of like I'm just starting to throw my own twist on it with no.
But no, okay. What was Eric's like? What was Weinstein? Weinstein.
Basically, that he's a contract. He's made up, so you can use him for like he's like a character just made up.
He's like a scapegoat.
He's like an object created.
Yeah, he's. But then by who?
I guess that's the question.
That's the question. Yeah. I
That's,
mean, he
that's the
definitely
big.
existed.
That's the
He's-
big question, and that's the other thing he's bringing up is why there's so many questions not being asked that should be asked on the case. I think that's another thing. No, just like general, like this is one of his selling points is like,
Yeah.
because this could lead you to like the who then.
Oh
like
yeah.
because he's making good points like who's stopping that, right? Because what he's pointing out is like basically malpractice. So like in most cases, this is what would be going on, like in traditional journalism, even outside of like the investigation.
Yeah.
Just in general, like societies, like how we interpret this data and operate with it, right? And like a lot with the operating, like,
He's-
so like
he's
the
using it as,
journalism.
like a case example.
Yeah,
To
a good
pinpoint,
ca-
like a larger like social like
Spotlight on.
like phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it has to do with like controlling the zeitgeist or like it's a tool to influence the zeitgeist of people. You know. I'm asking you, Bill. Like
I
just to
don't know.
confirm. But I'm kind of repeating back what you're saying.
Okay, so
The way I'm hearing it.
So
yeah.
zeitgeist.
Yeah.
This is just gonna show my like my not see, this is gonna really show my uneducated levels. But
It's all good, man.
so please tell me about that.
I mean, it's
Tell me about you said zeitgeist.
zeitgeist. Yeah. Concept from German philosophy.
Okay.
I'm just reading the Wikipedia page here.
Yeah.
Meaning spirit of the age, spirit of the times, first an invisible agent or force dominating the characteristics of a given epoch in world history. And I'm using it in a like a way that's like describing like a cultural like spirit.
It's like a strong
culture.
driven force. Like
Yeah, like or we like is that what like because I think that's like controlling human culture essentially, right? Like if you control the spirit of the culture, right?
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you can kind of control people.
it's kind of like are you talking into terms of almost like a zeitgeist is like a virus?
No, not a virus. No. It's to describe the quality of like of the social dynamics of humanity.
Okay.
Yeah, like or to refer to this quality of like shared consciousness or like shared
That's what I'm saying.
existence. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm starting to like tweak. It's hard for me to go back. But so if there's like this baseline of shared, and then the zeitgeist is coming in, and that's kind of not shared.
No, the zeitgeist think of the zeitgeist is like a constant. If you agree the zeitgeist is what it is,
Yeah.
the zeitgeist is just like a constant world spirit, like a.
It's like the theme. Like the
It's just like the.
But I know it gets deep, man. It
Je ne
gets
sais
deep.
quoi in the air. I don't
It gets deep.
It's like,
'cause-
like
the
the-
defining theme of like the epoch of the times that's
Yeah,
driving
it's like
the current.
the flavor of the world.
Yeah,
I don't know
current-
why I think flavor of the world, but it's like
It's good. Like
yeah,
way to kind of.
how we are in a like in an energy, like you get a little hippy dippity, but if you control that energy, right, then you can I think you can normalize certain kind of things in the human condition. If you control like say a king has dominion over his land and he says and he's a young king and he's coming to power and he's showing like I want to change the system, I want to reform how the kingdom is, I want to make it more prosperous, I want to give this to these people and rectify these issues, and he's coming in and saying all this stuff, right? Or a queen or whatever. This energy that he brings to that dominion, right? Like that like shared consciousness that comprises him, his subjects, everyone involved. Like that's zeitgeist. Like no. The zeitgeist.
I know
would
what you're
be-
saying. I know what
the
you're
zeitgeist
saying.
would be like him bringing like the
I know exactly what you're saying.
man.
I know exactly.
Well,
what you're
sure,
saying.
sometimes it's hard to articulate thoughts.
That's what I was saying. It gets
Uh,
deep. It just goes deep.
Like but like yeah, like if you can control that like if you can influence that, then you can like influence the world to be what you want and more, right? And so
Mm.
like if we're referencing these groups, how would they go about in shaping, I guess, that zeitgeist to be a positive for them, like
Yeah.
So
because I feel like that's something
from
they would want to influence, right? I
so
think-
from this
yeah.
perspective, like I'm just curious. I don't know. Maybe this is like anyone's perspective, but do you almost view it as like zeitgeist or like things that could be manipulated, like atoms, or like just like something constant and like
Zeitgeist is I think all like cultural thought. Like I don't. There's no atoms to it as far as unless we can like maybe you can define what
like
consciousness is and
like
you can like
can you like make an abstract model? Like, was what I'm asking is because I'm trying to figure out what a zeitgeist is, right?
Oh, we just read the
it could be like a fad.
Yeah.
Yeah, zeitgeist is just a
I'm
fad.
trying to make like my own construct of
Okay,
like,
let
a
me
zeitgeist.
read you.
But I mean, like,
Wikipedia.
what do you mean by construct? Like,
Like I'm trying to make my own. I'm trying to map what is a zeitgeist.
Okay, this is what a zeitgeist
How is it?
is.
What is this? How is it? If okay, how can a zeitgeist be applicable?
No.
well, I mean, like, because we're talking about like, I mean, this is all spun from a Reddit headline about Jeffrey Epstein linking him to Prince Andrew, but them not naming Jeffrey Epstein's name specifically is like,
Yeah.
deliberately like left. And talking about like media control narrative about like I don't know, people trying to influence like human culture and like trying to control human civilization.
Trying to just like yeah.
But I use zeitgeist because like if like that like reading stuff like that informs your perception of reality, and then you share your perception with other people at any given moment, right? As long as you occupy the same space, right, and you're interacting with one another deliberately and undeliberately.
Yeah.
Don't know why I
Just
added
just
that.
random interactions.
But yeah, like
Because life is structured but random at the same time. Right? So you have all kinds of dynamics.
I feel like I actually
That's an
really
interesting
did a lot
view.
on the word zeitgeist.
Yeah.
I added a lot of stuff. It's really just about like
Mhm.
talking about like the spirit of the times, to sum it up in a phrase. So like you can I don't know what you want to construct with that. Like I mean like building your
Okay,
own.
give you an example.
So like by times could be so like time could be so split into like so many different
times
channels.
of like just society.
No,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
give you some
Time
reference.
refers to-
Like in the '60s, the hippie era,
yeah.
yeah.
the zeitgeist of that era was like that movement. You know, like the hippie movement.
progressive.
That's the zeitgeist.
No,
That's
I,
the flavor.
I get what
you know?
you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
But what were you trying to do with the construct then?
I'm just thinking like are the principles of a zeitgeist can it be packaged in different ways? Like is there like is zeitgeist like a little object that can be used like it could also be like a virus or like it could also be I don't know, I'm just tweaking on mushroom land, man.
Or maybe you're saying could there be like a mimetic like a mimetic like meme like I'm trying to say mimetic like social kind of thing that is a virus that like infects our behavioral condition and like
I feel like
offsets
I
or
feel like
something?
okay, so I'm totally not hip on zeitgeist, right? Like, obviously, I don't even know what the fucking word means.
Yeah, but you understand.
But no, but I have like a kind of an idea.
Sure, but okay. What do you think the spirit of the times means when I say that phrase?
No, I don't
Yeah.
conflict with you on that.
Oh, okay,
I don't
yeah, yeah.
conflict with you on that. I'm just curious because I'm thinking of like just like that like time. Time is an interesting variable. It's an interesting choice. Like
Oh,
bec-
that word.
yeah, just like times because times could also be just cut into so many different like realities. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just anyways. I'm just tripping, man. I'm just, I don't disagree though. I don't disagree.
That's all good.
Shit, we go deep on this mushroom shit. Psychonaut shit.
Yeah. So basically, like the flavor of the times.
Yeah. Anyways, but it's
Okay, back to the
Yeah, so-
Epstein. Wait, what?
So that was a long.
That was a crazy tangent.
Crazy.
there.
That was so
Train
many.
of
That was like
thought.
tangents on
Yeah.
tangents, man.
Tangents within tangents.
That was a natural flowing stream, though. That'd be interesting.
From
Just-
outsiders' perspective,
going, like,
it's
tangent.
Just three idiots babbling about shit.
Yeah,
Oh man.
but I think that's the beauty of it, man. When you just like tangent and then branch off a tangent, and branch off a tangent. That's good. That's
yeah.
good shit.
But it is. So we were talking about Eric Weinstein's take on the whole Epstein stuff, right? Epstein.
Oh yeah, hit the perspective, or I feel like it's pretty common sense actually, but it's just almost like a reminder, like, hey man, do you guys look at journalism? Do you look at like any of the things like being presented to you, almost like, like yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I just found it interesting. Like it was so subtle that thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but Eric, sorry, I keep on like I'm like not
Losing frame,
staying
yeah.
in the focus of the conversation. But yeah, so Weinstein said that, like, I mean, do you agree with what Weinstein said?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think you can possibly disagree with it.
yeah, because
'Cause-
you just make it like
It's just an analysis on how we're processing data.
yeah,
It really, it's
Yeah.
he's not saying anything like definitive or like.
well, he is being definitive by saying
Like
that
he
it
no
is
yeah no
what a
so
thing.
he is being definitive,
Yeah.
But I mean, in like a different like he's not like trying to push like some like conspiracy. Like he's not saying like, oh, I know this or I know that. Like he's not.
But he's implicitly saying.
Like he's not putting on the tinfoil hat, but
Yeah.
he's like, and he doesn't need to. But
Yeah.
that's the whole problem with
Yeah.
it. That's the whole problem with
Yeah,
it. Is
yeah.
you can't even talk about these issues. That's why. So this is what he's kind of doing. He's not even addressing. He's addressing the issue, but he's not talking about it explicitly. He's just pointing out the things that you're missing. And that's why I agree with it, because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you look at the things that he's saying, like, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense.
True,
If
true.
you should listen to it. His last few episodes are good.
Yeah, but like, which episodes talks, or does he touch upon that subject throughout all of his episodes, or like specifically the Epstein stuff and like that as
there's-
like a thing to like
I think he had like a
be a cultural like like central point for like some ulterior motive.
yeah. No, if you just go on his YouTube channel,
Yeah.
it's like I think it's like a second inaugural episode. Like it's pretty clear which
So
one to
it's
click.
Yeah.
And it's just like a solo episode because most of his shit is like guest speakers, like he's doing shit with people. So this will be like the only solo one, and
Yeah.
it'll be like recent, and it'll be like basically I don't know, you'll know. You can watch it. He talks about it on that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Basically,
check it out.
saying his intentions of how he's switching his platform of the show too.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we talked about that before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's very this is like this is why I like Eric Weinstein. I don't sometimes always agree with things he's saying, or I can't like make it not that I disagree with what he's saying, but I can't come
Yeah.
to my own conclusion on it or something. But he's very transparent. Like he's very open. You can see
Yeah.
his train of, and this
He
was
lays it all out.
this was
Yeah.
confirmed for me after watching him for a while, because it was like I've seen him change like I've seen it.
You can follow along his train of thought. And
You can see him evolving with
Yeah.
this thing, and he's very
Mhm.
transparent with it. So he seems cool. So I fuck with it, Eric Weinstein. Yo, man, we could do like a Portal
Maybe
Flow
one day
Bro
or
collaboration one
something.
day, man. Maybe.
Yeah.
Never know.
We get our voices out a bit more, get a little bit
Yeah.
more prominent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Able to articulate ourselves a
Or
lot
we
better
can
after
introduce
post-scripture.
them to the
cut us
more
some slack, peeps.
Yeah.
yo, but we could also introduce them to the more raw side of humanity. You know, just a little less.
We should do that show that TK talked about though.
That is very
Oh,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good.
Hecking down to do that.
Hell
That could be
yeah.
our
We need a
clips,
mobile
dude.
setup for that, though,
Yo,
yeah.
Brandon, that could be our
just get
clips.
2 lab, yeah.
Just steady stream of clips coming in.
We need lights, some
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to time it, but yeah, we can figure something.
We just need a good camera and 2 lab mics and just
Dude.
go out and do it.
Dude, I was thinking we get.
Oh, so context for the viewers because they don't know what we're talking about. Our friend TK, that was a long pause. Said that we should do like features on homeless people. Like we should just go up to them and just like get their story. And it's kind of like I feel like it'd be like Humans of New York, but like a la Vancouver,
Yeah.
and specifically homeless people. Because I feel like you never hear their story specifically. You always have preconceptions of them already,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so it'd be nice to like
Get, like,
it'd be
the
interesting to see-
individual
yeah.
story.
There's a lot to unpack. I bet, like in terms
Yeah.
of like the human condition and their like I mean, I guess not to like make entertain. I don't mean to make entertainment
No.
about their stories about their
No,
existence, but
maybe
more
just
like
give
just to
them-
share, like if they want to share, yeah,
Yeah,
like
give
their
them like a
story.
chance to,
Yeah,
like.
because I feel like, especially with people who like, I feel whenever people do have interaction with them, like when people do interact with homeless people,
Mhm.
like it's often stifled. It's like, it's already pretty automatic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I guess dignity, giving dignity if they want to have dignity in that way.
And it's funny, like there's.
I guess that's a
Uh-huh.
selfish thing that I think that's at play here too.
Yeah.
Because why would we want to do this to you, right? Like, I'm just getting deep in my own head
No,
now,
that's
but
fine.
like, what's making me itch about wanting to do that, like specifically over like something else, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just realized my pupils are still like.
Yeah. Maybe on camera you can pick it up.
I don't know. But I was just thinking, it's like we've been on camera, so if anything, what did they
yeah,
shrink?
Yeah,
they
they're
shrink a little
supposed
bit.
to-
They would
Yeah.
shrink with all this light, right?
Yeah.
But I would just watch them, and they're just like.
They're actually still pretty big.
Yeah, they're still pretty
Yeah.
dilated.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
That was surprising.
Yeah. So just do it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that'll be great.
Yeah.
No, we should get also okay. So, I was thinking we get like little picnic chairs. So we can set up like a little like, everyone's just seated, and then we get the camera on like a tripod. So it's just like a
Yeah.
little like, sit down.
Just have it's like that the
session.
Charlie Brown and like what's her name, Lucy, where she has like that booth, but instead of saying like psychologist 5 cents or whatever, it'd be like, tell us your story.
Or are you talking
For
about
a
like
cup of coffee.
the?
Tell us your story for a cup of coffee, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about like the framework for like your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have to be just homeless people, but I feel like there's something raw and like
Mhm.
deeply.
No, not necessarily homeless people, but just random people on the
Random
street.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be
anyone.
interesting.
I mean, you don't really get that nowadays too in the street, right? Like people don't really talk to each other in the street. Everyone's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
No, you meet some interesting people, and then the people that would talk to you are gonna be interesting. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. Who's willing to like? They're
But
totally comfortable
actually,
being-
the more interesting will be the ones that wouldn't talk to you, but
we got them to open.
it's
up
gonna be
somehow.
your ability to like
Draw them
man,
in
your
and,
your ability will be measurable on the interesting. I'm still tripping on mushrooms. Man.
Oh, funny.
What's the words?
It's like
Look, chop.
sometimes like post shrooms, and I think it's just like it has to do with like your.
Mhm.
I think your prefrontal cortex, where you do executive decision making, just that becomes so impaired because like I think it gets hyperstimulated,
Mm.
or like it's like, whoa, bud, there's so much going on, and then like afterwards trying to speak for a moment, like it's reaching for words, and you're like, it feels like because it was so like it got so stressed out, it's just like, give me a moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I understand.
Just thinking of like, why it's so hard to talk after an intense room trip. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm talking bullshit signs right there. Just right now, seeing.
But I think that's the
benefit.
benefit of like meditating with the mushrooms too. Is
Yeah.
like I think it's like capturing that moment. I don't know what we're talking about. We're capturing it. It's weird, man, because I'm going on this mental tangent, but I'm picturing like a CPU getting like clamping down a CPU and for some I'm just
putting on the
I'm tripping
heatsink and
balls,
it's
right?
like-
Yeah, not necessarily putting on the heatsink, but when you clamp down the CPU.
Oh yeah, like
the initial
you socket
clamp?
it and then you do that little lever
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
but it didn't even. Man, it doesn't even really relate with my mind. But I'm
Well,
just.
I mean, that's imagery that's going in your head.
That's
after-
the imagery. I'm just trying to give you a raw.
Yeah.
That's what's playing.
Fair.
Maybe you can cut that in there.
Honestly, I just come when like the little fourth wall breaking here.
Mhm.
Just gotta be. I just find like I always tense up when I start doing this,
Mhm.
like doing the show, and I just gotta remember just be relaxed and just be
Yeah.
yourself, and then like
Exactly.
do think about what I'm trying to say, but like don't get too neurotic about it.
Yeah.
Trip up over my own words. Just
Yeah.
kind of let it flow out.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Flow, bros.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I feel like there is a learning curve to this stuff because like you put in like this like now there's like this element of production, right?
Yeah.
And then you go into it and you hit the switch and it's like boom. And even though you are just flowing, it's like I feel like you still get caught up. Like there's this thing called production right here. And it's just like I don't know. It like manipulates it like manipulates things in like
Yeah.
unpredictable ways sometimes, and like it's
Well, yeah, it influences us,
so
right?
it's
Like
yeah
like-
it's like you. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You know,
but
like we were a participant in the environment that we
yeah.
are inhabiting. Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes this production variable has just a way of like clogging the flow. Like sometimes it clogs the flow. So that's
Yeah.
that's like where this comes in. Like
Oh
we
yeah,
gotta-
like it
we
might,
gotta-
and like maybe they're train of thought, right? Maybe like I know for me, I feel like sometimes at a moment I become too self-aware of what I'm saying.
Mm.
I'm just like whoa, and then but as that's grinding, as that happens, it grinds my gears, and then it stops.
But that's the
and
skill of
then-
it. You have to be aware of
Yeah.
the production while maintaining just like that's what I'm saying. It takes an element of skill to do this.
Totally, yeah, and we're
Yeah.
gonna get better at
Yeah,
it. Just like
as we
Yeah.
go along.
we're ciphering too, like.
Might cut this out. Might keep that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll see. We'll see what's up. Oh man.
Oh shit.
You know what we should do though? I know this is a bit again meta for the podcast. I feel like we should just do like a little segment where we just look quickly at world news and just like read off headlines and just get our quick thoughts about it.
Yeah, actually that'd be pretty fun. We should try doing that right now. take a look. What's happening in the world?
Or actually, maybe we should do an analysis of like what is world news at the given moment, and like be like, well, like and talk about why it's interesting. Like these stories are being highlighted more. Or, I don't, but I like, I don't know.
So you want to get into the what is world news?
Or like.
I was gonna say, man, we're gonna become the kings of metadata.
Kings of metadata.
Whoa,
That's what I heard. So you want to go into like what makes world news? Or?
No, I meant when we're like every week on the podcast, we just do a little feature and like we just look through news headlines, but then we wonder why these headlines, like because I mean there's so much news happening at any given moment, right? And why it's chosen to be spotlighted as news and what isn't. But then I like again in my own head just talking about tripping up on like the podcast and articulating things. As I was saying that, I'm thinking, oh, but there's going to be so many factors that are going to be implicitly biased into how we do this analysis, right? Like what feed do we choose? Do we talk about like news headlines that we've been experiencing all week, or like just at that very given moment as I'm scrolling through? Like,
that's the thing, man, because depending on where, so it would have to be internationally based for one, right?
The world.
Yeah, it's because news varies so much from like spot to spot, so it has to be like international shit. Well, that's almost given, but just got to make that clear off the benchmarks. Like,
Yo, let's talk about coronavirus.
Yeah.
Let's talk about COVID-19.
What are the latest updates? What's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on apparently, right?
Yeah.
But
no
what
kidding.
I want to talk about is like.
let's hear the structured, and then let's take our like conspiracies twists on it or something.
Well, I just want to say like, isn't
Let's
it
see if we can
interesting to see how our treatment of this like pandemic, like imagine if this was like my like thought process that like, is this how we would respond to something that's like deathly, dangerous, right? Like super fatal, like are we such bumbling like idiots that like this is how we respond to a global pandemic? Or is it because ultimately it's not super fatal? It's not like
It's not.
50%
Yeah.
mortality.
No,
Like, if it was
I
50%
hear Brandon.
mortality rate,
I can hear.
like we'd have a much different response. And I feel like
Right.
people saying, "Oh, the lackadaisical response that they're seeing right now,"
Yeah.
is like, and they're like people criticizing that. I think is because like ultimately
See,
people
that's-
see this as just like it's just a different
this-
kind of flu, right?
This is the difficult
Right.
part for me.
Yeah, and all this media buzz and like all
Yeah.
this like I guess scaremongering, like all this prepping kind of like
Yeah.
narrative getting pushed into people. But yeah, Bill.
I was gonna say
Sorry, I just got-
that's the difficult part for me, because to me it's clear that this whole thing is like more. It's more. There's more moves on the board being played than just what's being presented. Like, it's not just. This isn't. You could, like Brandon was saying, you can tell by the way like we're reacting. Like, there's no way we're this stupid. Like, or like not necessarily stupid because I'm not paying too much attention to it. But I mean, like you
people
would,
can be stupid. Like,
but you would think.
organizations can be.
But from what I'm getting from
Yeah.
you is like you would think that we would have a better response. Or?
No, I'm just saying. Oh yeah, well, if the virus was more lethal.
If this was like actually gonna kill us like right now,
Yeah.
like this was really real.
Like some people make like comparisons. Oh, this is how it'd be
Like,
like a
so
zombie
so
pandemic.
I'm
I'd
not
be like,
saying-
no. I don't think we're this ill-equipped.
Yeah.
When people, I guess what I'm describing is like when people make comment on our preparedness or
Yeah.
lack thereof,
Yeah.
and then taking that and then going from there. Imagine if this was like something else, right? Like something
See,
more
that's the trick of
disastrous.
it,
Like
yeah.
I don't know if I really buy into that kind of line of reasoning, just because I think we would treat it so much differently if it was much more
Deadly.
lethal. Yeah.
Right.
But that's where the fear mongering comes in. It's almost like this like little point where people consider things in their mind. It's like a good like contorting point. So I don't know. I'm just going on a little shroom tangent. It's hard for me to put it into words, but.
But I guess it does highlight like. But but actually, I guess what the real scare is like. What if it was like super lethal, but then it spread at the rate it did? I guess that's why people are concerned about, because it's so infectious. It's so.
What if the
apparently-
coronavirus was a zeitgeist?
Well, in a way, it is because the coronavirus.
It is. It is.
influencing
See, that's
the
what I was
zeitgeist.
saying,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like,
Yeah.
not necessarily for this, but like.
Well, it definitely
As
is a
zeitgeist
dominant
can be,
theme
yeah.
in at least in global news, and it seems like it's impacting a lot of people's local stories too, right? Like, I think right now for us, we're pretty insulated still, despite BC being where it is. But like in Italy, parts of Lombardy, right, where people are dying like every day.
But
You're getting news
yeah.
reports and then like probably hear the sirens. Not as bit dramatic, but it.
It's good
Yeah.
at hiding it. Okay, so if the coronavirus is the zeitgeist, it's good at like hiding itself behind like the virus though, because like it creates this like layer of deception where like you're perceiving it. Okay, so when I'm saying it's a zeitgeist, I'm saying it's more than just a virus. This is where you're getting into like how are people actually using this object, like, so it's maybe they are, I don't know, it's getting complicated.
No, people going. So I've watched
Yeah.
a skeptical face on my thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like,
I'm trying to follow it mentally.
So I don't want to like get out too, I don't know, I'm going on like too like, I'm fucking losing my
you're
train of
holding
thought,
the
man.
floor, man. You got it.
Oh man, I'm losing my train of thought. Shroomy thoughts, trying to conform shroomy thoughts.
Well, no, you were describing the like you wanted to say like you were saying something about like the zeitgeist being used.
Yeah,
You
shit.
know, like is it being or like deception? You use the word deception, which I found interesting that you used the word deception
Yeah.
in this context. Why did you choose to use deception?
I don't even remember what we're talking. I know what we're talking about, but I'm totally lost my train or my track. I totally lost my tracks on that one. I was going somewhere with it though.
Yeah, no, trust me, I know what you mean. You start dilating on your like trains of thought, and it starts interlooping with like other trains of thought, and then you're like, shit.
I'm still just kind of floaty. Like
No, fuck it.
it's easy.
I don't
for
get
me.
why people are buying so much toilet paper in response to coronavirus though.
I think
But
that
is that a
was-
meme or is that actually happening? But why?
I think no, it has to do with like if you're quarantined for 2 weeks or whatever, you're gonna need toilet paper for 2 weeks.
Guys, you buy
I don't
often you
know.
buy toilet paper in
Actually,
a year,
no,
right?
wait, yeah. Why are people
And,
buying?
and guys, if you don't have any toilet paper, just fucking take a bath or something.
Mm. Yeah.
Afterwards. Yeah, it's gonna be a little gross, but at a certain point,
You could work without
obviously,
toilet paper.
like not everywhere, I guess, has great
I see what Brandon's
water
saying with
systems
this.
and like sewage and all that. Like,
Yeah.
sure, but
No, wait. Why are people buying up all toilet paper?
why toilet paper?
Why? Yeah.
Why is this?
It's like a
So
natural like
is there nothing?
reflex.
Is
when,
there is there like a collection of things that are going up at the same trend, or is it just
That-
fucking
well,
toilet
okay.
paper?
Mass, isopropyl, like hand sanitizer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rubbing alcohol, I guess.
And now like toilet paper apparently.
So it's all like toiletries and cleanliness and like
Oh yeah, hand sanitizer, like hand
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
sanitizing wipes and stuff,
yeah.
as well as going.
Wait, because people want to kill the bacteria or virus,
Yeah.
right? But like, no, I'm just. Those make sense to me. Buying hand sanitizer, great.
But you're
people
wondering
should
where
be doing that.
you're wondering where the toilet paper creeps
Yeah,
in.
toilet
yeah. Why
paper?
toilet paper?
Like toilet paper.
Actually, that's a good point.
You're not. This isn't like diarrhea, yo. This isn't like.
Well, I mean, shit. I don't
like,
know.
maybe if you're coughing into it, but yo.
But no,
toilet
but-
paper scratches up your face. Yo, rough afterwards.
But no,
You
but
got
if,
the
You know what I'm
flakes,
talking about, right?
what if the virus? So I don't know anything about this coronavirus. What if it gives you the shits? Do you get the shits from the coronavirus? Because remember there was Ebola in it. Isn't it like a crossbreed from
No,
Ebola?
no. So many wrong things with that statement.
Okay, well, anyways, like I said, I don't know shit about Corona. But if it has those like shitting factors,
I think a lot of the symptoms are like more
I
similarly
love
tied to cold and flu
Yeah.
symptoms. So like runny nose, you think you have the cold, and then it goes to like the extreme symptoms of like viral pneumonia. So those are the symptoms. I haven't heard of any cases of diarrhea though.
yeah, I say I don't know shit about this thing, man. Like,
No, but yeah, toilet paper, man.
I'm just wondering because viruses throw systems out of whack, so maybe it makes people shit.
I mean, I haven't gotten it yet. Maybe we'll find out. Okay.
yeah, man,
hopefully not.
we're all gonna learn right now. Brandon, you looking it up?
Okay. Well, no. I found a totally different, interesting kind of like line of thought on
tangent.
coronavirus.
Okay.
So apparently with SARS, it was spreadable by feces too. Yeah. But not because like it gave you diarrhea or anything. It's just that like
just
the feces.
yeah, it was present with the feces.
Yeah.
I got you.
Well, wait.
So maybe fecal cleanliness is a big deal because it spreads through shit.
Oh wait.
Okay, I'm gonna just read this. This is from a
Update.
website called
Okay.
iflscience.com. It looks really kind of blog spammy, but I mean, let's see. He's got 27 shares.
There's a picture of a dude taking a shit,
Yeah.
but you can't see him taking a shit. It's just his pants down.
The classic with the pants down in the shoes.
Okay.
Coronavirus may be transmitted via poop as well as coughing, scientists suggest. I'm just going to read the first paragraph. New report, range of symptoms experienced by patients suggests that around 1 in 10 suffer from diarrhea and nausea for a few days before developing breathing difficulties, leading to suggestions that the pathogen may be transmitted via feces. While this route of transmission has not been confirmed, new data does raise the possibility that doctors may have missed some key early warning signs by focusing on cases that involve just on respiratory stuff.
Right.
And apparently, while this fecal doesn't this doesn't mean that fecal matter is responsible for the spread of the illness. Wait. Yeah, droplets, right? Yeah, because people were saying it's like fluid transmission, and so
Mhm.
like yeah,
So it's
like,
not giving you the shits, but it's present.
no. It's like I think they're saying that the virus itself is literally in the shit, and when you flush, it gets
Yeah.
because when you flush, like everyone thinks that when you flush, like the shit just goes straight down into the tube. But no, but there's also a lot of fecal matter
Micro-
that
yeah,
gets flung in,
like-
micro matter that gets
Or
flung out into
hosts,
the air.
hosts hanging out in the fecal matter.
Huh?
Or like viruses.
Yeah,
are
exactly.
Just
No,
hanging.
exactly.
But it literally does, because think about the force of a toilet, right? Like someone did a study about how much a toilet gets covered in fecal matter from like a flush, and it's like everywhere in the
Yeah.
or not toilet, but
It hits
the
the full
washroom.
room.
Yeah, the full room
It
gets
can hit the
covered.
full room.
And so like
And then from there, things take things elsewhere.
yeah,
right?
maybe like people do a decent job enough that like they're coughing, they're fine, right? But like especially, and they're saying in warm, moist air, right? Like in Hong Kong, where
It could
bunch of
ride the
people
humidity?
became infected from SARS.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, this okay again.
So do you-
hearsay-
do you think
not
it could
hearsay,
ride
but
the
I'm reading this
humidity,
from a
dude?
random ass science website, but it says that SARS was transmitted like in this manner too, right?
Yeah.
And like if there's precedent, and then I think they share some the two, again, I don't know my science, but like there's like the two viruses share a lot of stuff, right? Like I think they're in the same virus family, yeah.
Yeah.
And like shit, dude, but that doesn't explain.
Toilet paper hoarding.
Well,
No, it does.
So
It's-
the toilet paper statistics. No, but it how this, if this is even a, okay, so to put this into the two, so to like put these two together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are the like the toilet paper statistics? Is that like is it up like per person? Like how much? What's going on there? Tell me about these statistics from toilet paper. Is it just like general like the whole like societal demand is up, or is it giving you like a per person use case? Like
This is more like
is it like just a general, just like the whole population is buying more toilet paper?
no, just like the whole fear mongering and pandemonium and panic of coronavirus. Like people are just going out and stocking up on toilet paper.
I'm just wondering if the correlation is like true, and if it is true, how much does the coronavirus actually play into the equation? Because it's probably not the full weight of pushing that. Like it's not the full. Coronavirus isn't the full economical force behind tissue paper. Is what I'm saying. So I'm just wondering like how much weight does coronavirus have?
It has weight in the fact that it's pushing up the recent buyouts of all the toilet paper.
Yeah, and like dissecting that though is interesting because to dissect that, you have to go into how does the coronavirus actually affect your body? Like, it's even plausible. Like, you start getting into the shitting, and then you realize, oh man, people aren't just like shitting themselves. It's actually just like you have to. It puts you. I don't know. It's kind of shit. But now we know that it lives in fecal matter and it doesn't necessarily make you shit. So we learned something.
We learned
Oh
something.
man.
What else did we learn?
No, I'm just reading. It's like, okay, this is from popsci.com. The virus is not known to be airborne. Some pathogens can be.
But
spread
yo,
through the
so
air.
hold up. Can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
So if it goes through water, and you were saying it was like in these other, I don't know if you said higher humidity
Yeah.
specifically, but the climate or the places you were talking about,
Yeah.
I think of as like a higher humidity. So what if there was like, it's not necessarily airborne, but it's like riding the water and the air?
Yeah, that's let me.
Okay.
You're.
Yeah, I'm there, man. I'm
Yeah,
there.
well-
I'm there.
So some pathogens can be spread through the air, including measles and chickenpox, and the bacteria that causes tuberculosis. And this airborne transmission is different from when people launch. It's different when people launch droplets into the air or when they cough or sneeze. It's different. That's because these tiny globs of mucus or saliva are heavy and drop out of the air pretty quickly, whereas the airborne particles can just float for long distances. So it's like water around the virus has dehydrated away, and there's a kind of little bit of a coating around the virus, but otherwise it's mostly just the virus, Eisman says, the scientist.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a gel-like coat that is light enough to stay airborne. Scientists haven't fully determined whether the coronavirus can be spread this way. Even with the flu, it's still being debated by how much is by fine particle of aerosol versus droplet transmission, although the majority is very likely droplet. So the virus generally is not airborne. It's unlikely that
Not in the traditional sense, at least.
It seems like it's interesting, like where scientists are interpreting the notion of like airborne when it comes to like virus like being in the air,
Like physically thrown through air.
like just in the air, yeah.
Mhm.
Versus like
So,
being
so
tied
it seems like that's pretty
to-
cool. Where viruses
Yeah.
are like they're microscopic enough, they're light enough that they can just ride.
You're getting on, yeah.
air,
I was just
right?
thinking about that. So like to understand how this
Yeah.
virus behaves, you'd really have to know like the cellular level and what
It's physical man
Yeah.
mechanics,
and
right?
what like what
Yeah.
materials is like what does it have and how does that
Totally, yeah.
affect how it's, because it sounds like in certain environments it's almost like maybe it's just like in itself to like, I don't know, it just manipulates like those humid environments, right? I'm having a hard time.
I don't think
titling.
it's I don't think the virus
not
itself is
not manipulating, but
it's
it,
just-
it's able to it's able to use those environments to its advantage.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, I guess like it has conditions in which it thrives in, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of its characteristics as
A virus.
as a virus, whatever structure it is. But it's interesting that like, it's okay. Okay, I know people. I'm wearing my conspiracy hat now. I know
Alright.
people are talking about like, oh, it's because they eat like gnarly ass shit in Wuhan at that one wet market where you have all this crazy shit, right? But holy cow, because if it was spread through feces, what if some dude ate something gnarly as fuck, right? Right, as you would just because you're at a wet market, right? It just didn't jive with them.
I
right?
feel like the wet market thing is just like, it doesn't even matter. I feel like there's too much focus on like, oh, there's like a wet market, like whether it was, I don't know. I feel like there's like, yeah, there's just too much focus on that whole. Like, I feel like that's why that's not a good. You know what I mean? Because you're focusing too much on a detailed like case where you're like your vision's like narrowed in on that, and you're missing like a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And the bigger picture, I mean, you might not be able to like paint the picture, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, no, I think the wet market should be a focus because you think about like so many of like the viruses that we have, like looking at our historical precedent, have been from like ones that jumped from one species to another, right? Because viruses just like us constantly change and evolve and adapt to their environments, right? So it's like it'd be interesting to like to see if it was because that proximity, people butchering, dealing with not raw, but like livestock, and probably in like let's say the livestock wasn't washed or like taken more care of, right? When it was brought to the wet market, and so like the butchers there, the people who operate the market, they have to deal with these animals, and like maybe they just have less sanitary like hygienic standards.
So you
So
think
when they
like
went to the
feces
bathroom,
came through?
or they're just rubbing their face, you know?
Oh yeah,
something, yeah.
It definitely seems like
Yeah. Like, what if like the coronavirus had been from some pig that had like a shitty code, right?
Yeah.
And now he's in a fucking trailer going to fucking Wuhan wet market, and all of a sudden he goes in da 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 da.
I think that's
and
a
then
factor in it
And then
all.
like he gets butchered, but because like the virus is like in his feces, like throughout his body. or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
And the butcher's going through it, and you know he's like, fuck, I'm going for a smoke break, da 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 da. But he's not. He's
Yeah.
like smoking. I'm like, I'm not eating it, so I should be fine. But because
But he
like,
still
he
has
hit
the-
his lips or something,
Right.
and then you got it, and then you know you waiter went to take a shit at the wet market.
So it's like
and
getting
how?
back on that
Yeah,
cellular
yeah.
level, man, of like how the thing
Yeah.
is able to like move.
Yeah.
So it's like in certain climates, it's able to just grab the air, but in other situations, it's maybe doesn't move as like freely. But like you're saying, just like from handling shit to having a cigarette, you create the bridge.
Well,
you know?
but people are saying that like the characteristics of it, yeah, it is like a bridge, but
Yeah.
because it's more like a droplet than being airborne,
Yeah.
that it needs like a
It needs the
medium
bridge.
right?
Yeah,
And
medium.
So, like,
It
if
needs
it's
a-
if it's a high moisture environment, then it's maybe more likely not only that it's more transmissible because it has like the conduit in which it is like the environment.
That's what it is,
which
like a
more
conduit.
moist.
Yeah.
It's more favorable.
It
for
sounds like the virus itself, and
Yeah.
itself is like a conduit, and it's like if the environment is like it's fuck, I'm losing myself. But in the right environment, it's just like on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in other environments, it hits more resistance, but it's still like it's a pretty good virus. It finds its way around.
But it sounds like it dehydrates over time, and it doesn't become like any.
So is that humanity's answer to like, combat this virus? Is like dehydrate the air or something? Like
Not dehydrate. I mean, like I guess. If,
what is China doing? What is? Do you know what they're doing? Because you see them out there in the video spraying shit. Are they
I
just
don't
like
know.
trying to
Yeah,
kill
I'm not-
bacteria, or are they
I'm not- yeah,
dehydrating the air?
I don't know what they're doing.
I'd be interested to know what their solution is. Like, what are they actually doing?
Yeah.
To
'Cause
do
they gotta be the-
postmortem on this afterwards is gonna be super interesting to like from a global health organization like administration perspective, and like to like social people, like our behavior during this whole like ordeal.
Mhm.
You want to call it that? Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting to read all this
Yeah.
analysis afterwards.
Oh yeah. See, that's the beauty of this podcast too. Is like, it's gonna kind of drive our learning, and like create content. It's like a weird. I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting shit.
Definitely.
Oh man, how long do you want to record part 2?
Go with the flow. We feel like we'd stand off.
Well, people's. Oh man. Okay. That's
We
interesting.
really
I,
need.
I guess
we-
like.
I feel like we really need those fucking. We really need that transitional element.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. Oh, you guys want to end the podcast? Is what you're saying?
No, I'm
Well,
good.
we're an hour right now, by the way.
Oh wow.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it's a pretty good part 2. Seems good. If
Yeah.
you guys want to
Yeah.
keep going.
I mean, this coronavirus talk was pretty stimulating.
I feel like I feel like you got a really good little nugget to work with there, and we can lead back into it. So,
What's interesting that like.
but I think the leading back into it, you should maybe look into it more.
Yeah.
Think
like,
about it a bit. At least think about it a little.
think
So
about
you want to talk about Corona next time?
No,
Do
no,
you-
no. I.
Do you want to delve more into that? No, not necessarily Corona, but like
A topic?
but like the top and like maybe more get a little bit more meta on it. No.
Well, let's talk about whatever fucking flows, yeah.
Yeah.
When
I don't know. I
get
feel
that-
like we were
Yeah.
going into territory with Corona that we can touch a lot deeper
Yeah,
on.
well, you know what? Because coronavirus is such a big thing right now, we're gonna have Corona talk every week. We're gonna have a little short.
Yo,
thing on
we'll
Corona.
start drinking
Yeah.
Coronas.
Until Corona like dies down,
Yeah.
it becomes a non-story anymore because we get our shit together and
Yeah.
Yo, who
figure it
knows,
out.
man? Maybe
Plus
our-
the scientists who, in the healthcare, professionals who have to deal with this.
This is
We're gonna have Corona talk.
this
At
is
least 10 minutes. It's gonna be something.
yo. We'll dedicate some thought processing towards it, and who knows, man? Maybe we come up with an interesting
Yeah. Yeah,
This is our
I'm gonna do some
contribution
research.
to-
I actually haven't done a deep dive into Corona
Yeah.
since it first broke out as a story because I was like, I'm fine.
This is our
But-
contribution. We're gonna.
But now it's like, especially now it's ramping up in BC. Sorry, I keep on cutting you off. It's just-
Oh, no worries, man. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say this could be
Yeah.
like the Flow Bros. Like this is how we contribute. Like, we're not gonna go and buy more masks and more shit. We're gonna like try and put our ideas in like, put some dedicated amount of time to just seeing what happens, what comes out of
This
the
is love.
what comes out of the clash of ideas. And I'm just saying, man, you never know what comes out of the clash of ideas. So we're dedicating we're dedicating some clash of the ideas to Corona. That's all I'm saying.
Clash of the Ideas. Oh, that's a Weinstein thing, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Clash
Is
of
it-
Ideas. I feel like.
It's probably it's like the whole idea of it.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Cheers.
Or, I mean, whenever you're listening to this, it might not be nighttime. See you later. See you later. See you later.